All right. Hello, everybody. Let me just get a drink ready. Mine be Psychedelic Underground Records and Melodify already in chat. Welcome, welcome, welcome. As you guys know, today's a feedback stream. So I'm going to be listening to different tracks and giving my opinion. It's again very, very warm here in Italy, so I do have my fan turned on and 2 bottles full of ice in front of them. That means that you might hear some popping or like clicking on the microphone. Before they were making actually a lot of noise, because obviously they're just like unfreezing, even like the outside of it. But now it should be a little bit better, hopefully, so that doesn't pick up on the microphone. Either way, I have to post this and then I can get into the first track. Good tracks on start. I have no idea, I haven't heard them yet. We'll see. That's the whole point of this whole feedback stream thing. Klaus, welcome. How are you doing? The first track is Psy Miracle. Hello Projector, I hope you're fine. Yes, I am. This is a progressive trance project. I tried this genre for the first time. Let's see. Noctuned in chat. Or that is at least his artist name. Oh, I have to download this. There. It needs a little bit of time to download. $30 seconds. Okay. For those that don't, okay, now the bot is running. For those that don't know, you can submit your track in feedback on stream in my Discord, !feedback to get there. You'll be joining here somewhere where you can add my music to your Spotify playlist. Then you can scroll down and then go to feedback on stream and post your track here. Anyway, track has finished downloading. Progressive trance first try.wave. This is not good. I want this here. Let's start from the beginning. Ready? Here we are. Clean your kick and bass. First of all, always clean the kick and bass. Mix-wise, you can see what's happening here with the difference between the kick without a snare and with a snare. This peak is going to cause you issues on the limiter. You want to like clip it or something like that before it goes into a limiter. But this isn't mastered yet, so... There, the drum loops stop before the rest of the drums, before the kick and bass actually. That's a little bit strange. Kev Human, how are you doing? Is this like actual trance? I thought you meant progressive psytrance, but it turns out this is like actual trance. Some very bright, very high octave pads here. I'm not a fan of that. It is like a, how would I say, it's almost like you took psytrance kick and bass and then put a trance track on top of it, because the bass line doesn't react to the melody change of the, oh now it does. That downlifter doesn't really make any sense. The slowing down downlifter on something that is so rhythmical, because that slowing down downlifter doesn't have any rhythm. So it's just confusing with the rhythm that is actually there. I get that for like a breakdown or something like that, but in the drop it doesn't make sense because you have the rhythmical elements in there. Virtual Instinct, welcome. Aris, welcome. How are you guys doing? Luis Perez, this is your track, Nocturnal. Also, I assume that this is not yet mixed. The balance is a little bit all over the place. And since it's also not mastered, still problems? Let's see if today mine is better. I mean, hopefully, if I already commented on it. Maybe it's a new track, I don't know. Very cool track, very cool idea. Overall, the mix still, I think it still has to be done, the mix. I cannot imagine that this is a final mix. What I would say for your mix is that basically all of your elements lack definition, and what I mean by that is that they don't, it's not really clear what the element is like supposed to do. So for example, you have the chords which kind of form the main melody, or the kind of saw stab things. Those are main elements, right? They are the main melody, so you should make them up front in the mix. When there's a pad and those chords happening, you shouldn't have the pad overpower the chords, because the chords are what is important. That is the giving definition to different elements in the mix. You need to decide, okay, which element is the important element. In this case, it's the main melody. And then you have to mix accordingly, right? You can just go down the list. Kick is the most important, then you go bass, then you go your main melody, and then you go supportive elements. That's kind of like the 4 steps, I would say. Obviously, for a first try, it's very, very nice. Okay, let's see. We have actually got a lot of different submissions here. Next submission is Phil. Here I am with the same one, but better. Night Harvest, Final Project Master 150 BPM, the Virtual Instinct. Okay, we'll have a look, Virtual Instinct. You're up next. I don't remember what I said last time, so... This is distorting heavily. clean up the kick and bass. This bass note is just up here, the transient. This kick transient is messed up. Trying to remember how it was last time. But this is like, the kick is like heavily distorting for me. I don't know if that comes through on YouTube or maybe it's... But I feel like it's heavily clipping, that kick. I don't know what... It cannot be the case that I didn't tell you last time to not clean up your kick and bass, because you can see the transients here are just completely messed up. This is destroyed. And therefore you don't have any definition to the transients of the kick and bass. That's together with how extremely loud this is. Like aggressively loud. This doesn't need to be this loud. And I don't know, maybe I think I would have said it if the track was anything like this last time. I would have told you to remove like half of the elements. Because I cannot focus on anything. Somebody is saying nice melody in the bass line. I don't know how you hear that, because it's just like a wall of noise going on. It's not clear which element I should focus on. I sometimes hear the FM lead, I sometimes hear the atmosphere, I sometimes hear the kick and bass, and it's just constantly switching. The mix isn't telling me like what I should listen to. The ideas are very good and the sound design is very cool. It's just, I feel like you want to do everything a little bit over the top, and therefore you have too many sounds in your track and you master it way too loud. You just hear that kind of crunch on the kick, right? It's not like the track is driving you into a rhythm or something like that. All of the elements are playing different rhythms. You're definitely a skilled sound designer, but this is when it comes to track writing, there's a lot to learn here. And that is, I think, what you should focus on. And make him sleep later. Hopefully you're still going when he's sleeping. I'll be going for like another 3 hours ish, I think. then. See you too. I'm trying to see if Virtual Instinct is still here. So he can maybe explain what he changed here, because it's... I'm gonna be honest here, it's gonna sound a little bit harsh. I'm not trying to, but this is a mess. Quing, hello. I also feel like there are some elements that just have a lot of low frequencies that sometimes obscure the kick and bass completely. Overall, I think, yeah, I think I've said enough about the track. It's a mess. It feels like every sound is on the same volume. Yes, it's like no mixing was done here. It feels like the way that you decided to mix this was turn everything up until everything hits the limiter, and then the limiter will just balance things out magically. I think that was the idea. Obviously, that didn't happen. The kick and bass is messed up in terms of the phase relationship and the cleanliness. And even the way that you're playing all of the elements on top of each other. Yo, projector, can I send the SoundCloud link? Not here. No. You can type !feedback and then you'll be sent to my Discord, where you will join here. You have the ability to add my music to your playlist, and then you scroll down to feedback on stream, and then you post it right here. And then we'll get to it when we go through all of the others. Dancing wall cloth finally. Yes, we have a little bit of a trippy effect going on behind me due to the ventilator blowing in my room today. Either way, what I wanted to say with this track is that it feels like nothing was done with intent. It's like you were like, okay, I'm going to sit down, sound design some stuff, and you continue to do sound designing, and you never were like, okay, what is the sound supposed to do in the track? It feels like it never occurred to you to put some context in here, and you just kept writing the tracks without thinking what the elements should actually do, and that's how we ended up here. It's a little bit sad that I don't know what I said to you last time, and obviously I cannot go back and check now, but this track needs a lot of work. This track needs a lot of work. I would, to be honest, I would start over. I would start a new track and then really focus on what is the element supposed to do. If you think about it, it's really easy, right? Explaining the thing. It's always hard to put it into practice. And it's something that you'll learn over time. But make a kick and bass. Okay, what is the kick and bass supposed to do? How does it achieve that? We clean up the thing a little bit, move on to the next one. Okay, hi-hats. What are the hi-hats supposed to do? They're supposed to add high-end frequencies and groove to the track. So make them do that. That's how you go about it. The next track that we have is Silence Nightmare, Into the Forest. Dark Side Enforced. This is by Sil, PU Records. Starting off very crispy here. Lean your kick and bass, please. Dark one indeed, yes. I think this is YouTube turning it down, but you can see this went never through a master limiter because there's peaks all over the place on like the loudest parts. Here it could be maybe clipping right above where the peaks are, but I don't believe that it has been through a limiter. I mean, a peak like this, if you're limiting, this would be squashed, right? A peak like that, this stuff here, that. And also, all of these peaks are caused by your kick and bass just not being cleaned up. You think it's YouTube? No, the waveform, it should, if it's on YouTube, it is louder, but it's the same waveform. The issues that I'm explaining with your track are still there. It's just a little bit lower in volume because of YouTube loudness compensation. He'll get us in trouble again with the copyright tracks. He actually left his label, so I don't think he will. At this point, when you have such low energy in the track, why is the hi-hats still playing at like full energy with the open hat and the closed hats? This would be a good place to slow it down a little bit so that when you bring them back in, they have a little bit of extra force behind them. If you just keep them rolling through the whole track, they lose all the meaning of showing you which parts are high energy and which parts are lower energy, because they just play everywhere. I'm actually getting fairly bored of the hi-hat. Now we're gonna go on a break, so that's okay. But yeah, here we're back in the same exact groove that has been going on for the whole track. And the SoundCloud link track isn't mastered, it's an old track. I finished in 2019. If you like some criticism, please, bro. Will do. You're here in the list, I think. Why did you also send it to me directly? Sound design is very, very cool here. I like that you're making space for that vocal by just not playing anything else there. I think we're gonna go into something that is like an outro. In that case, the addition of the hi-hats doesn't really make sense, because that would signify there's more stuff happening here. I like the kind of dark feeling coming in here. It's like slowly rising that chord thing. You get the kind of swirls and swirls and stuff. I don't get why there's so much noise on top. I think that the musical idea that you have below it doesn't need extra like risers. It's already rising in and of itself. But overall, the idea is very, very good, and the sound design was really good. You just need to work on your mixing and mastering. And your kick and bass cleaning. Okay. Ares, are you ready? This is called Ancient Encounters. Ares, ancientencounters.mp3.
Encounters that were described as encounters with elves and fairies in the Middle Ages. Encounters that were the shamans to this day described as encounters with...
the vocals should be on top of that other element.
All the characteristics of those encounters apply to encounters with so-called extraterrestrials today. It's as though in each...
You can hear that the element just completely covers the vocal, and we're listening to what he is talking about in regards to the encounters, and then suddenly we're pulled out of the story.
Shamans call them spirits. We call them ETs today. But if we're really going to crack this problem, and it is a problem, and it is a mystery, I'm not dismissing it.
Here again.
Very important mystery. We're going to crack it. We're going to have to use psychedelics.
What the hell is happening with your gating? That vocal is gated very strangely. It's like there. It doesn't line up with the beat. Also, again, lean up your kick and bass. And overall, I would say that the bass can be a bit louder. The kick can be a bit longer if you want. You can have that tail actually really up until here. That's the whole point of making this bass note quieter, is that that tail then goes in there and fills up that area again. Matt, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome.
Keep the rhythm below the belt.
Here again, the vocal is on its own, so it's not really a problem, but if you're gonna have a vocal that is telling you something, why not make it loud? Why not make it stand out of the mix? Even in the place where the vocal isn't being covered by any element, you can barely hear what he says because the volume is just too quiet. Sophist, welcome, welcome. Here you can hear how you start off the section with the kind of arp coming in with the phaser on top of it, and now it's completely gone. Like it's morphing between the two. I would personally go section is element, right? So you choose a section and then you say, okay, this is the main element of that section. Here it's very clear what the main element is. But this was also taking over the main element of the last one. Here, this is what happens when you don't clean your kick and bass. If you don't think about that when you're doing stuff like fills and stuff like that. Great track. I do agree, yes. The overall ideas and the overall sound design, I like the heavy use of vocals. I'm always a fan of that. It just needs work in the mix. I like that you're making space here for the vocals. You just need to turn them up so that the vocals use that space. But that's the track, Ancient Encounters. Now we have Spider Pig. That's very nice cover art. Mine be Spider Pig, work in progress. Very intense start. I assume that this is some kind of build-up, and this is not the actual like intro for it. I tried the loud mastering for this one. How do I send track directly to you? You don't. At least not now. We're doing a feedback stream, so I'm giving feedback to people who send me their tracks. In order. I like to see this. This is nice and clean. This is what a clean kick and bass looks like. You see, it returns back to the 0 line and then the transient hits. The same is true for the bass. The same is true here. So that the transient has the space to sit in. You can send the track in the feedback channel here. Feedback on stream. Okay, so maybe you could listen to your track next on stream. Yes, that's how it works. You order me around and at the expense of everybody else. We're going in order. I love to see the use of the stereo field. Look at this. I would say there's like 1 or 2 mixing sounds that are a little bit too loud, that are overpowering the master here. One was in the intro as well, kind of like a strong pluck, but the rest sounds very, very clean, even for how complex this track is. I was hoping here that that lead would kind of explode, and that would be the very high energy part, that it would fully open up here. And that would obviously mean removing all of the other elements so that it has enough space. Kind of classical Mind Be Acid sound coming up here. There's something weird is happening. Your first kick transient is missing. Probably some kind of filter that still has to open up there. You want to open up the filter usually a little bit before the actual transient, so it doesn't get like skewed up by the DAW. Sometimes it applies a little bit of smoothing to automations. Wave Morpher, welcome. Late, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome. Okay, so yeah, very good track. Obviously still work in progress, and the mix still needs a little bit of fine tuning, as I said. The mastering is very good, even though you said it's like very loud. It's not like aggressively loud, like the track that we heard before, where it starts to squash even out the detail that you don't necessarily want to be loud. You want to master to a point where all of the loud elements are loud, and then the rest isn't getting louder, right? You don't want to actually squash it like we heard from that last track. Not the last track, but a few tracks ago. How to submit a track, exclamation point feedback should tell you everything. You get in my Discord, you land here, you add my music to your playlist, and then you scroll down, feedback on stream, and then you post right here. Okay. So next is, it is actually Aspect, I think, at least if your name in Discord is AppCM. You shared a private track with me. The way that you need to do that is there's going to be a share down below here somewhere. Instead of this link that you have here, you want to use the share function. So please find the actual link of the track and update the message so that I can actually see it. Oh, that's Jose. Okay. Then where did you send your track then, Aspect? Because this is Jose. If it's not Aspect, then I thought you said you shared it in my Discord. Yeah, no, the normal feedback channel doesn't have anything. Yeah, okay, so this is Josue. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Don't get mad at me. Let's put this in here, and then we'll see. Untitled. A little bit empty here. Feels very quiet, this intro. Or is this unmastered? I guess we'll find out soon. Okay, yeah, then it makes sense with the waveform. If this is the maximum that the waveform goes, that makes sense. It's not like I need to turn up SoundCloud, no. Kick is nice and clean. Your bass line here isn't though, so your kick should go like down earlier, fade out quicker. It's not mastered. You must use SoundCloud. You can also, if you have the Discord Nitro, you can drop WAV files, but you can also use Google Drive, whatever you want. As long as I can open it and actually find it. I really like the idea. It's almost like a Squid Game kind of vibe with the vocals. That second thing isn't even a vocal. Okay, I'm not a fan of fills like that where it's just the kind of kick and the bass kind of randomly continuing. I like my fills where the fill just kind of stops. Maybe you have a kick fill or something like that. Something that actually resets the listener. Something that isn't a continuation of the pattern that you had in the drop. And then you get back into the like the drop. here. Yeah, there's an issue with the kick and the bass where you do a kick fill, you want to clean that up. What is this doing? Strange stuff like that. Here again, you technically have a fill there, but it doesn't register as a fill because the bass just kind of continues. Also, if this isn't mastered yet and you're going to go into mastering, don't make the mistake of cleaning up your kick and bass and then having everything in order, checking everything, and then putting a high pass on your master chain, because that's going to ruin everything.
Sometimes I think I was born backwards, you know.
Nice. I like the vocals like this. Giving them a lot of space in the high frequencies.
The people I should love, I hate. And the people I hate.
What is the vocal saying? Is it saying hustle? Is this an Andrew Tate theme song? Yeah, this is another place you can hear it as well in the transient of the kick when you're overlapping kicks like that. It just kind of smooshes out the transient. The final thing that I would say is that your hi-hats aren't piercing enough, right? Psytrance and techno, they tend to have very aggressive hi-hats, and you can usually see that in the Spectrum as well, where the Spectrum just kind of has this bulge towards the end here. It doesn't have that. It's just kind of rolling off here. For most music, that is kind of the case where you have the bass the heaviest, and then you're rolling off, and then you roll off like this. But in Psytrance and also techno and a few other genres that rely on that repetitive beat effect, you have an extra hump here to facilitate those cymbals. I don't have permission to send link in channel anymore, so I can't send link. What? But you are in the... Everybody can send a link. It makes no... If you place feedback on stream right here, you can send the link, right? You are a normal member, so you should just have the ability to send the link. Born is the word. Ah, okay, for the vocal. Yeah, okay. It sounded like it says hustle because of the I don't know where it comes from, but... maybe it's in a different language. Future Music, welcome. Yeah, Aspect, I don't know how else to help you. Everybody can send the link in that channel. You are in my Discord. It's not like I banned you or did anything to you. In fact, I think you just joined, right? No. Hey. Then maybe there is something going on. Did I explicitly not give you permission to... But I don't remember doing that. Roles. Yeah, no, you're just a normal member. I don't know why you wouldn't be able to post a link in there. I'll accept your friend request. You send it there. But now I don't know which one sent it before. So you have to send it in here. in the chat. Just go in feedback on stream and just type it in here. Message me the link here. That has to work. It works for all of these people. So it has to work for you too, right? If it really doesn't, it's very, very strange. I don't know what that would be, what the issue there would be. For now, I'm going to move on and see if you can send the link at some point. This is all those fucking voices with echoes of Hive. This is another Klaus. Look, it says it in the URL. It is Klaus's alter ego. That's why it's called all those fucking voices. Anyway, let's hear. Wait, I might be onto something. This might actually be Klaus. With the real world instruments and that kind of thing. Very strong kick and bass here. Clean it. Everybody clean your shit. Also, that one bass note was way too loud. In this case, you can just get away with not making your bass so long. You wouldn't even need to resample. You just make it short enough so that the post ringing doesn't actually hit the kick transient. You just leave in the post ringing, but just cut off the note earlier. If you're gonna do a fill like that, you can just stop the kick and bass there. Right, even here. There's no reason why the kick and bass should continue there. Because that's a really nice point to quickly reset the listener, get them back into the groove, get them back into autoplay, lovely. Get them back into the groove and get them back into you know, the beat of the track. Because sometimes when you there's this idea, I've had this once and that's why I remember it so vividly. I had this moment where I once went into a club and I got on the dance floor as the track was already playing, and I noticed like, oh, when you do that, you don't exactly know where the one of the beat is, right? The beat is or a bar is the one of the bar. A bar is divided up into 4 beats, and if you just walk into the dance floor, it's really hard to tell actually where the one is. Obviously there's the clap that can help you a little bit, and sometimes you can get it from the melody, but some tracks it's just completely impossible to tell just from the kind of continuous beat alone what is actually happening in the track. That's why we have fills. That's the reason for it. It's because it resets the listener. It knows, okay, here there's a pause, now the kick comes back in. That kick that is coming back in must be the one of the bar, because sections always start at the beginning of the bar. Yes, 2 Klauses. What are the odds of that? I have 22 viewers and 2 of them are called Klaus. Still no link from Aspect. I don't know if he's still here. When did he send me this file? We can... Okay, so this is 25. Only 2, yes. I think. Okay, so he did send it before... Well, he sent it before a lot of people. Oh, shit. Casco. Sorry. Trying to fix it. It is very strange. I forgot this track. Sorry. Let me get in there. The reason why that happened is because I asked Epicem to resend the link, and then I just kind of continued on here. So we skipped over this track. This is Casco Ne Due. I went like 3 languages to pronounce that. Ne is Dutch, and duo is Italian. And Casco is a very English way to say that name, I guess. This is Creed. This is not your track. This is Pusha by Creed. I cannot play this. Instantly the melody, you hear that it's the Creed track. I'm uncomfortable playing this because I'm not sure if this is going to get claimed. Yeah, I cannot play remixes like that. I will get in trouble with copyright. And obviously, you know, I cannot just redistribute tracks like that. Even if I am handling all of your work in fair use, in the sense that 1, I'm commenting on it, and 2, you give me explicit permission to listen to your music while I'm playing it on the live stream. I cannot say the same for you when it comes to a remix. Like, I don't know if you actually got a license for this remix and you can send me the license and we can handle out everything for this. Or if you just decided to kind of do like an unofficial remix, which is technically a bootleg. The major problem is, even if I got a remix from you, even if we figured everything out to play your track on this feedback stream, there's no actual way for me to send the remix or the license to YouTube. I can tell them, like, I have a license and all of the blame should be given to the guy that gave me the license for this, because obviously if there is copyright infringement happening and he gave me a license, then the license is fraudulent. But there's just no system in place for me to do this. If I have a license to play something, I should be able to play it, and I would want to play your track in that case. But even if I was able to make sure that I could play your track, there isn't actually a system in place for me to tell YouTube that. So there's just no way for me to actually play remixes like this, because they will get struck and I will get in trouble. Still trying to fix it. Okay, Aspect, I can see your track in private. I still don't understand why you wouldn't be able to post in my what's it called? In my server. That makes no sense to me. But I guess I'll play it here. This is Aspect with Nevermind. Starting strong here. Beautiful vocal mix, using the high frequencies to make them understandable. When that filter opens up on that one pad, it's a little bit hard to understand. So I would like keep the filter a little bit lower if you know that you're going to put vocals on top of it. Here you can hear it's a little bit hard to concentrate on the storytelling of the vocal. Very strong kick and bass. Personally, I would make your sliding bass line a little bit stereo. You can see it happens sometimes, but the main bass isn't. and the transient is squashed here. Also this alignment, in this case, if you want to properly align this, I would phase invert the baseline so that this oscillation continues rather than kind of wobbling about here and then goes down again, I think. Or is that part here? No, this may be okay. But the cleanliness is definitely something to fix. Very aggressive clap for the fact that nothing else is going on basically above 1000 Hertz. You have this very long kind of open kind of sound. I would prefer a much more dynamic clap on that. Also because your hi-hat is so dynamic as well. Hello, Asset. Welcome. Yeah, still not a fan of the clap snare. I do like this part.
And this is so cool. My freedom whispers to me to go ahead. Give a lesson to me.
This is the kind of space where I would personally have a big delay on the vocal there. Here as well. Overall, I would say the main issue with this track is that it's not stereo enough. You have a very progressive kind of track, prog I would say. I would go for using the stereo field here. Even here, most bass lines are just completely mono. That's not something that you would often hear in this kind of prog kind of psytrance. Look at the metering here, the mono metering. To give you an idea, for normal EDM kind of stuff, something that has a main lead in it, it's supposed to be here. So when it comes to bass line, it should be like here, if you just have the kick and bass. tweak. Well, there is no stereo layer. When there was the sliding bassline, it was completely 100% mono. So yeah, at that point there is no stereo layer. And I would suggest personally not even making a stereo layer. Just using something like this stereo spread. Just set that to a reasonable amount, like 200 Hertz or something. Get your tone right with the amount of bands, and then set the amount so that you actually get a nice amount of spread. Like this is actually what it would look like, doing it well. And I'm now doing it on the whole track, so obviously that's going to be a mess. You guys don't hear it. But that is what it would look like on the analyzer. Also, final thing that I will say, and this is just a pet peeve of mine, this has nothing to do with this this program. Yes, Signalizer. It's very, very good. All four of them, as you can see, Signalizer, 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 Signalizer. And you have the three types, and then within the spectrum you have here, line graph or color spectrum. That's the difference between this and this. This is not something that has to do with this track in particular. I will say hater. I'm a hater of when either a bass line plays on its own for a long period of time or a kick plays on its own for a long period of time. Because what is the point of it, right? You're halfway in between the part where people don't dance and dance. Like, make up your mind musically. What do you want to achieve with, for example, this part here? If you want this to be the part where we listen to that emotional lead that you have going on, that thing, then the kick is in the way. And if you want to dance here, then there is no bass line. There's no actual bass frequencies that makes our body move. So in that case, I would suggest either not having the kick or having the bass in there for an outro. Anyway, hope that helps. Next up, we have No Name Sound Portal. This is Hristo. How do you pronounce that? H-R-I. Hristo. Like, I'm trying to process these names of you guys, but sometimes it's just like you're doing it to bully me. Like, it's okay. The other one, M Stereo Spread, is not free. M Stereo Spread is, I think, like $70 or something. But this is from the Melda bundle, so this is something that I have. Also, look at how this shows up. There's a little bit of noise in the system that I use. You can also see it here. And if I like lower the noise floor here, you can see the noise that sits in this system that I'm using to record my desktop audio back into my sane system. Look how it shows up when you push it through M Stereo Spread here. Fairly cool. When it's not being spread, it's even cooler as well. There's a few individual points there. Hello to all frequency slaves. That's a term that I've never heard before. I also have another project with a friend. It's completely different style. If you still have time after everybody else. Yes, of course, feel free to submit. I'll be here as long as there's music here, and usually I run out of music before I run out of energy. DJ Emo, welcome to the stream. This is No Name with Sound Portal. Oh, this is very stereo. That's very loud. It's actually nice and clean. I like that. Good job. Is this a crash used as an offbeat open hat? I'll make this go away in there. The bass line is very, very loud for high tech. Again, usually the kick is the loudest element, and especially in high tech, the kick tends to be like a good 3 dB above the bass line. Oh no. Fades. Don't do this. Don't cut it off without actually fading it out. That's a bad idea. Because you can hear the click that happens then. Is that also what you're doing to the bass? I hope not. Yeah, you also do that to the bass. I saw it in the waveform there as well. Hey, this melody is a different rhythm. That doesn't work with the rest of the track. Right? Yeah, these two rhythms don't work together. Now it does. Wait, that was very confusing. Now I'm not sure if that first rhythm even worked. The problem here with the groove is that the bass is too loud. The bass is like 2 dB above the kick, and it should be 3 dB below the kick. Because the kick is the most important part. That's what we actually dance to when we're at the dance floor. My brain left by my right here. It is a very crazy track, in a good way. I love the sound design. I love the attempt to make it very, very clean. Very, very staccato. Not just the kick and bass, but also all of the other elements. Right, the stops and then the things happening again. Just a few mixing things to consider. And fade out when you fade out your kick and bass here. You can see it goes up here. This should already be kind of rolling off in volume. Same is true with the bass line. The bass line is kind of doing that, I guess. But the sudden click like this is a very bad idea. I like the idea of just part of a crash being used for an open hat. I'm not a fan of sidechaining or sidetrans, especially on high tech like this. It removes the groove, kind of. Or not the groove, but the stability of some of the elements. That very hard sidechaining. You don't really need it if you know what you're doing in the mix. At this speed you can measure the 60 note in hertz, yes. Really cool submission. It's also very loud in the mastering. Maybe that's something that you want to look into. I want to show like my kick and bass for high tech. The track that I not recently made, but that high tech track that I made. It is actually the last track that I played for the break. But I think this should have the idea of... Yeah, do you see how the kick is like louder than the bass line? And you can hear what kind of effect that brings. It's the kick gives more oomph than the bass line. I was using a BPM tapper, but the coffee is making it... It's too fast to keep up with. Anyway, I do think that for high tech, most people do want the kick, yeah, as I said, like 3, maybe even 4 dB above the bass line in terms of volume. It's much higher, at least in high tech specifically, than in any other like sidechain subgenre, I think. Maybe some dark as well has that kind of thing, but because of the high speed, I think that's one of the reasons. But I do it most to make space for the kick. But you don't need it. If you know what you're doing mix-wise, then you should be able to just not have to use the sidechain. Like this track here, the one that I just put. I'll put it later in the break when I'm taking a break. How long have I been streaming? 1 minute and 20, or 1 hour and 20 minutes. I'll take a break now. I'll leave this on. There's no sidechain happening in this whatsoever. And I think you'll agree that the kick always has at least enough presence in the mix. There's maybe a few parts I don't know now. It is mastered. I don't think that I mixed it before mastering, because this is made on like live streams. Oh, he's leaving. Send another private work in progress. That's a little bit more recent. Okay, we'll have a look at it after my little break. But yeah, I'll play this track, and while we're here, I'll put on the analyzer so that you guys can see. And I'll be right back. Wait, your track is not mastered? Then why was it so loud? Because that's the point of mastering. Isn't it? But it's not going to matter. If it was going to matter, in that case, mastering would make the available space less. So it would make the problem worse. So if my track, you'll be able to hear if my track is mastered. If my kick doesn't stand out, then that's going to be a problem. But I think you'll agree that my kick stands out enough in the mix. And as I said again, no sidechaining whatsoever was used to make this track.
io vi saluto.
Bravo Generation.
Amici leoni, io vi saluto. Posso migliorare? Amici leoni, io vi saluto.
Sierra 1, we have a Black Hawk down. 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 Down.
Pensa a te che stronzo.
I think it needs a little bit more work, but this is pretty finished in terms of the track. Let's see. Ulas, welcome. Welcome to the stream. I sent my track. I hope you found it, but you can send it right here. Feedback on stream. I don't know if you have yet. When you join the chat, the Discord, you should land here where you can add my music to your playlist. Promotion. And then you scroll down to feedback on stream, and then you post a link here. Unless you're Aspect, which for some reason is unable to do so. I don't want this to loop. Yeah, okay. Let's delete that because we don't need it. Okay. Clean up a bit, and then we'll get to the next track, which is the Kai New Psi 2506 idea FRS.3.mp3. Wow. What a name. It's I didn't make that up. That's actually the name of the track, as you can see. You guys are really trying me here with trying to pronounce stuff like this.
There's something in my eye that is creating this static.
Clean up your kick and bass, guys.
It's like
I'll continue to say it because it is actually important. The vocal that you have on here sounds like a vocal that should be happening in the break. This is really cool. I like the dark vibes that you have here. It's the release name. Nice. I would release it like that, yes. I like that fill. That's good stuff. I hear you're doing something here with a bass melody. I would suggest here doing it more. Because the track overall is very groovy, and a bass melody that is kind of continuous does help with that. Overall, the balance is already there. In terms of all of your like frequencies, with nice high frequency stuff there. That's always something to check. Could be a little bit more, but it's already close. So very, very promising. It is a very short idea, so I cannot really comment that much on the idea. As I said, the one thing that I would say is that the vocal doesn't really come through there. It's a very quiet kind of vocal, so that would be the kind of vocal that you would need a lot of space for, and a kick and bass just does not give you enough space for that vocal to kind of sit in there, unless you compress it very, very heavily, and in that case you just lose all of the character of the vocal. So I would suggest putting that vocal somewhere in a break or an intro. The way that I'm going to do this, because Aspect for some reason cannot send tracks in here, is I'll have to look when he sent this. So these are two tracks. One is at 6.11, one is at 6.18. So that means that we would be listening to it now in terms of when he submitted it. This is alternate effects, aspect and parallel effects as one unmastered. Let's see.
If I may start by insulting your with what is called the most elementary lesson.
In this case you have a lot of space, even up to like 20k to go with the crispiness of the vocal. Why would you not use that? Because the lower parts is already taken, right? Anything below like 3,000-4,000 hertz is taken up, and now it's getting even more with the melody coming in, so the vocal is just not understandable here. The vocal is clearly trying to tell me something, but I don't understand it. Even here, when there's not much going on, because you're cutting out so many of the higher frequencies, the actual S sounds and the T sounds don't really have that high frequency stuff. Very groovy, very nice. again, I'm not sure this is cleaned up here. Very, very groovy. I do like this.
Sound is not pure sound. It is a rapid alternation of sounds and thoughts. And that's simply the way it is.
Take your vocal, compress it, remove any of the high pass filtering that you have on there or the low pass filtering that you have on there. You want it to have high frequency content because that's where the understanding of the vocal is. When I'm speaking or when I'm whispering, you can look at the spectrum and you'll see that all of the whispers is kind of happening in the higher frequency spectrum. And even if I'm whispering and this stuff isn't present in the vocal, you'll still be able to hear what I'm saying, right? Even now when I'm speaking, the high frequencies is that S sound, that shh kind of noise. You want it in there because that's what gives the vocal its understanding. And also the vocal here should just be louder.
Positives and negatives are different. They're at the same time one.
Also again, a trend that we see is that not really taking into the consideration what the stereo field should do. Some elements are playing with the stereo field. I don't know if that is like intentional here, but it does feel like you are neglecting it a little bit sometimes. There's definitely a bass line that could use some stereo with. Because it's like nice and open sounding. Is this a square bass? I think it is, yes. Maybe a combination of square and saw at this point, but it was a square bass definitely before. Yeah, this is square. You can see the difference between harmonics is more than an octave. Or you could see that here as well. Okay, nice. I'm immediately going to go with not this, not autoplay. But we have another track from Aspect, Take Another Chance. This is again another solo track from him. So the last one was a collaboration between him and Parallel Effects. This is a solo track. Take Another Chance. In a world of sauce, sometimes it's okay to be square. I agree. I would suggest if you're doing like a Reese kind of drone bass like you're doing here, to remove the first harmonic of your Reese. If you're doing that in Serum, you can do that by going in here and just lowering this. And then you can have a separate sub so that the sub doesn't actually kind of detune and Reese out like that. What you can see here is that you're just losing the sub completely in some points and then it comes back. Right, this part here. This should always be a solid sub, kind of like right here. Another very groovy idea being set up here. Very nice, clean. I like that. Strange here to me that you choose to immediately go from a place where you don't have any drums to a place where you have drums that are more than just the offbeat. I would expect when you have an offbeat bass like this with such an strong offbeat groove that you would try to have like that very strong offbeat hi-hat as well, so that layers nicely. I'm the first person to hear it. Nice. Vocals should be all-encompassing. It should be loud, it should be stereo, it should be wide. You should consider doing like harmonies and backing vocals and stuff like that for it, so that this vocal becomes a big thing, a big element. Now it's just kind of sitting here in a very small pocket in mono, and it doesn't really have the power to convince me, right? Do you know what I mean? And also you cannot hear what is actually being sung. Singer hit such an amazing high note for you there, and it's really hard to hear. It's just unfortunate. I'm so scared of stereo sound. Stereo is, you shouldn't be scared of it. Stereo, you need to learn how to work with it, just like EQ and volume mixing, because it's one of the 3 key elements of the mix. Because it may give phasing issues. Yeah, but only to an extent. Like, the solution to phasing issues is not to keep everything as mono as possible. It is to not go too far in the stereo field that you actually get phasing issues. I love this groove. That double plug that we just heard, that should be a stereo sound. Mine is always mono-compatible. Yeah, but the mono-compatibility isn't that like, oh, I'm moving off of mono, or I'm moving very far away here, so it's immediately not mono-compatible. Tracks that aren't mono-compatible are going to be sitting in this field here. There's a line there that indicates that. And you're able to use all of this space here. And overall, stereo tracks just sounds better, because obviously we have 2 ears. For a reason. We're able to detect where sounds are coming from, we're able to detect how wide sounds are in terms of the spacing in the stereo field. And it's even okay to take some sounds that you want to sit back in the mono mix as opposed to the stereo mix and actually push them out of phase so that they actually do that. Right here you have a pad, an ARP, and then the kick and bass and all of the other things going on like the drums. Kick and bass and drums and maybe the ARP should be fully mono-compatible, but something like a pad like that, you might say, well, in the mono mix it's not going to have enough space to actually sit in there. So I'm going to push that pad out of phase into the stereo field so that it becomes such a stereo element that it leaves more space when it's summed to mono. Mr. Friendly, how are you doing? Living up to the name and saying hi. Yeah, really cool track. Needs some work on the mix, needs some work on the stereo, but overall the idea is great. Very, very good. Very well done. To be honest, I was thinking about the argument like I'm scared of stereo sounds. I'm scared of the phasing issue. The saying that you're scared of the sound and being like ultra conservative is like saying I'm scared of getting hit by a car, so I'll never leave the house, right? You have to try, you have to go out there, learn what the stereo field does, learn how to not get hit by a car, you know, walking on the sidewalk and stuff like that, and then you'll be able to actually use the stereo field to your advantage, because it is an advantage using the stereo field, because your music just sounds better when you're using all of the dimensions that you have available. Hope I'm doing well. Hope you're doing well. I am. Hope you're doing good as well. That's a hard sentence, because well is also a way of saying. Doesn't matter. Anyway. Who do we have next? all those fucking voices. This is another one that I'm working on. Only play it once you have seen all the other submissions. I don't want to take the chance of anyone else to get feedback. I am sitting here for however much time I have tracks. From my experience, at some point the tracks are just going to slow down once everybody has submitted their tracks, and then I'm just going to go offline. So I'm just going to play everything in order, and we should be fine. Here again, this snare. Make it a bit stereo. That way the snare is not going to compete with the kick. Look at what the snare is doing now, by the way. It's also way too loud. Wait, the snare is affecting all the way below here. You should high pass your snare like at, I would say like 500 Hz maybe, at least. And the transients shouldn't mess up the kick transient that much. Hey Projector, what is your reference monitor system in your studio? My studio looks like this. These little speakers here. That's my reference system. 12-year-old Logitech speakers. I hope when I get a new place that I can get some Adams and actually get a good setup for them. But right now it makes no sense for me to get a good stereo or like a good monitoring system because I don't have the space for it. You could see like how little space these speakers take up. That's the maximum space that I have. Here also the hi-hat. The hi-hat and the snare, you can compress that a lot more so that you don't have that very dynamic kind of overlay on top of your kick and bass. Whoever came up with autoplay, I am going to murder them at some point. Real pros don't need anything other than good old 25s. I mean, if you're a real pro, you should be able to mix on anything. Because, I mean, yeah, my system it's not to the level where I can consistently, I would say, deliver just like a professional mix. I mean, my mixes are fine, I hope. At least for me they are. And I've never heard anybody else say like your mixes are constantly like fully off. But it does limit my capabilities, I would say. Definitely. So the drums the main problem here? Yes. The idea is good. It's the mixing side of things. When it comes, maybe something I should say, I haven't mentioned it yet this stream. When it comes to feedback streams, I don't say a lot of positive things. That's not because there's not a lot of positive things to say, right? I can sit here all day and say, I like this thing, I like that thing, but that doesn't contribute anything to the learning experience, and I would be talking over the track much, much more. So what I end up doing is just only pointing out the negative things to just make sure that you guys are able to hear as much of the track as possible, so you can make up your own mind. And that means that I might come off like very negative at times, but when it comes to my community and like the productions that people often send in my community, like 90% of them are very, very good, and I could consistently just sit here and say I like this, I like that, I like that, I like that, and it would be fine. Moto Techno, how are you doing? Tails, welcome. I have one track, producer High Tech from Brazil. You can submit the track. Exclamation point feedback will get you in my Discord, where you'll be able to find my music and add it to your playlist. Promo. And then you scroll down until you get to feedback on stream. And here you post your track in the queue that we're currently waiting for. The next one would be this is not yeah, okay, this Sile with Moonlight Glade. Hello Coffee, welcome. Now this is a stereo field that I like. It's not overdoing it, but you're using all of it. That's a very punchy kick.
Focus and concentration. The person
Yeah,
concentrates
cleanliness is not...
on a specific thought or memory.
You should clean it up. When you're doing kick fills like that, make sure that when you're chopping it up, that you fade out everything, that there's no filters after it, stuff like that. I think the kick is tuned a little bit too high. I always like to see when the sub of the kick, this like little thing here. Wait, is it moving? Ah, it's because it's no longer moving this way. It looks like it's moving back for me. Anyway, I like it when this sub of the kick kind of ducks under the bass instead of on top. It did lose a lot of quality there for some reason. Even here, like this is a part with the kick and the bass playing, right? So we would expect it to be very, very mono. Look at how much of the stereo field this producer is still using here. This is Seal. Oh, right? Yes. He is still using like a quarter of the stereo field, which is not going out of phase. It's not even aggressively pushing things into stereo, but at least you're using enough of it that we notice like, oh, there's stuff happening to the sides. This middle stuff is frequency over time with this amplitude. So the color is the amplitude of the frequency, and this is the frequencies that you see here. You can see the numbers down here, and then this is the time axis. Sylph's Nightmare. Okay. Your logos and text look like you're starting a death metal band. I like the use of guitar. It did come out of nowhere. It's a bit strange for such a big, full element. I like how it's mixed, but usually you would announce that kind of thing. I also don't like that you're not using any like fills, right? When you're going to go into a guitar thing like that, I would expect there to be a little fill before it, no kick and bass, so that the listener knows, oh, something is about to happen. Here again as well, there's a key change and everything. And all that we get to kind of learn that that's going to come is a little kick roll. And to me, that's not enough. like that little thing. Even because the kick rolls also happen in places where no changes happen. I think I said it before with your other track as well. There's not really a correlation between the amount of energy that the track has and what the drums are doing. And usually that is what you see. Now it's really lowering in energy. Yeah, now this is where you would have no drums. But I would stop using the drums much earlier already, because you were already breaking down like the energy level. So you're already not at the highest level of energy, which means that if you're going down, I would think that the drums would go with that. But overall, very, very well done. Very nice production. Again, I love your sound design. It's really, really good. And again, I cannot sit here all day and sit complimenting everything that you guys do, because you guys are just too good for that. Anyway, not Psytrance, but another track from my upcoming Dubstep/IDM album. This is Dubstep Sketch 10, Work in Progress 1 by Matt J. Do you also do techno tracks? Yes, I do everything. You can send me a 40-minute recording of porn sounds and I will listen to it. Don't do that. I might get banned for that. So maybe that's a little bit of an exaggeration. I'm assuming this guy is gonna be some kind of like old school UK dubstep. Yeah. Very liquidy, I like it, very dynamic. I think your reverbs are a little bit too long. Especially on stuff like the hi-hats that you have. It feels like there's a constant wash of reverb here. And I think I can even see it, right? All of the kind of noise that is sitting in there. The reason why I don't like that is because you then lose a lot of the dynamics that you have so carefully built up. Because the reverb kind of washes out everything. I also think that that's happening in some of the mid-range elements. It's a little bit harder to like spot on the analyzer, but I definitely hear very kind of washed out sounds, which I think is a little bit too much. A lot of tracks might be getting sent to the same reverb track. To the same reverb send, yes. That might be the issue, that the reverb send, the reverb that you have on that send is just too long. Andrew Wang once said, whenever you use reverb, set up the reverb the way that you like the sound of it, and then half the dry wet and length. to get it to sit properly. That is his advice for like reverbs. Now he makes pop music, so that is a little bit different than what we usually do. But I think here in this case, if you set the length and the overall like level of the reverb a little bit lower, half the length, and then set the reverb send volume maybe like 3-4 dB lower, then it should be good. I also think when it comes to the drums that there's maybe not enough variation. Like, it would be cool to have somewhat of like a break area where there's just not a lot of the hi-hats playing, not a lot of that high frequency stuff playing, even for all of the other elements. And then because you have that, when the high-end stuff comes back, it's a little bit more impactful. I know this isn't the kind of track that needs a lot of impact, but it's still nice to just sometimes lower kind of or make the track a little bit darker, so when the brightness kind of hits again, it's a special part. Sleepwalker, welcome. Sorry that I misused the feedback on stream channel. Give feedback to other people was just in the mood. No worries, bro. I'll just skip over that. Maybe it's helpful for the guy anyway. Yeah, of course. That's the whole point of feedback. It doesn't have to come from me. Obviously it's annoying if I had to scroll through miles and miles of text to get to all of the tracks. So don't expect everybody to go typing into the Discord. But right now that it happened, it doesn't really matter. Anyway, very cool track. Overall, I would like to hear a few things. Obviously, the reverb that I mentioned, and overall, maybe a bit more progression between the elements. You know what I said? Once just taking out the hi-hats, taking out all of the bright stuff, so that you have a little bit of a darker section, which could add like a break, and then you kind of flow back into it. Now it feels like the track just kind of opens up, stays there, and then closes at the outro. Anyway, we have, this is a forest track I've almost finished. This is Shub 1. What's this called? Grrr.wef. Okay. This is the actual name. Grrr.wef. Love to see me some nice clean kick transients. Here there's some sounds that are just too loud for the kick and bass. You can see when it starts to mangle the waveform and that kick and bass shape is no longer in there, then it's just too much. And we saw that before. Here again. How much more feedbacks do you intend to do? Till the tracks are finished. I usually just sit here, listen to music until everybody is finished sending me music. strange decision that those drums that you had before, that segment is louder than the kick and bass. I would want the kick and bass to have more impact when it comes in. Here there's also some rhythms not lining up, I think. That drum loop that you had before. Not much happening here in this part of the track. I know there's a lot of sounds, but none of the sounds were actually changing. Yeah, this is another one of those tracks where you didn't actually spend any time looking at the stereo or determining the stereo field of elements. We had that one kind of wobble sound that was very stereo, and now you can see another sound that is very stereo in there. And then a lot of the other leads are just completely mono. If you take your kick and bass and you turn it up by 4 dB, then it's properly mixed. You always been a perfectionist? I mean, not really. The point of this whole feedback thing is to make people's tracks better. So I'm pointing out things that they can improve. Not because I'm a perfectionist myself, but because I want other people's tracks to improve. Yeah. I feel like if that glitchy lead would travel around the stereo field, it would be insane. Yes, yes. A lot of these leads, the stereo field just hasn't been taken care of. Like, no consideration to what should it actually do in the stereo field. Right, that sawy lead that we hear in here, completely mono. But in this case, the pad is just overwhelming. Yeah, you can see the waveform of the kick and bass is just completely gone, which is not what you want. You always want a little bit of that waveform to come through, even in your intense part that's going to be like very messed up, the waveform, but it's still going to have that traditional kick and bass shape.
We're back where we started. Looks like we get a full night's sleep after all.
I like that you can hear the vocal. Good stuff. That's well done. There's a lot of stereo information. In this case, I can hear the hats being slightly panned. And before there, the pad, that massive pad that was taking up so much space, was doing stereo stuff. Might even be the case that the higher harmonics here are doing a little bit of stereo stuff. That usually contributes a lot to the stereo field. You know, the bass line being very loud. Here, these sounds, you can see it in the waveform as well. They just push the waveform up. It's usually not what you want. Because they're not more important than the kick and bass. guys hear the kick and bass still? I mean, I can hear the low frequencies of it, but not the groove of it. Because everything is just covering it. As all of the sound design is, it's not cool enough to be overpowering the kick, bass and the drums. Like, I cannot hear the hats, I cannot hear the snare. There is a snare in here actually, and the kick and bass as well. Just very quiet his kick and bass, maybe due to his mixing environment. This is at the point where it's about your mixing workflow. For one, there might be a chance that this isn't mixed. What's forced? It's a type of psytrance. There is a chance that this isn't mixed, but I showed before my setup, right? My speaker system. This is my monitoring system. These two little things there. And I'm always mix on that. I never mix on these headphones here. The point is, when it comes to mixing, it doesn't matter. You can put somebody in the biggest studio possible with the best equipment whatsoever, but if they don't have a workflow for mixing, if they don't have an idea how they should go about for each element determining its position in the mix, then you're not going to get a good mix. And that's something that you have to learn. I mean, I didn't really explain anything. I said forced is a type of psytrance, but yeah, it's a type of psytrance where you have fairly dark sounds and a lot of... usually there is a lot of like forced animal kind of sounds, that kind of stuff. Anyway, we have Dock of Curast. So I did a remake to Infested Mushroom Cyclone song. It's not mastered nor finished. For one, I cannot access it. And second, as I said before, I cannot play copyrighted content, even a remake, because it will get flagged on YouTube. So unfortunately, I have to skip your track, even if I was able to listen to it. I would have loved to listen to another track. Maybe you can send something else that you have in the works, something that isn't copyrighted, and then I can listen to it. If you do so, make sure that I can actually view it. There's a setting in Google Drive where you can make it so that anyone with the link can just view it without having to ask for access to it, which is the default. Normally, when you share a link to an item, I have to request access. And that's what's happening here. But even if I requested access, as I said, in this case, I cannot actually play it on the stream. So we'll move on to Stereo Attack and Krampus, Freak Showtime 188. I really hope that this is from that high-tech guy, and the 188 stands for the BPM. It is going to get copyrighted. Sorry. No worries, dude. If you have anything else that you want to share, any other track that won't get copyrighted, then feel free to do so. Ooh, this got a lot of comments. Probably gonna be a good track. Nice and clean. This is what you want. Nice clean transient, no pushing from the bass line. This bass transient is clean, this bass transient is clean. That is what you're looking for. pointing it out, the stereo field here. You see how it's in the break it goes to here, and then when the kick and bass is playing, a very mono heavy element, it's sitting around like right here, in this case a little bit lower. This is a stereo field where somebody actually took the time to think about where elements should be placed in the stereo field. Then your stereo field is going to look like this. The only thing I would like to hear, you have a few elements that are panned fully left, are panned left. I would like this one. I would like to hear kind of like a counter element to it. Sounds very, very good. Maybe a little bit sub, like a little bit strong on the sub here. I mean, it's okay, you're going down anyway before the drop begins, so you do still maintain that kind of impact that you get when the drop is going to come back. Very well done. Very, very well done. Did you release this through a label? If not, consider sending stuff like this to a label, because I think they would definitely accept it. Suddenly French core. Very, very cool. I like that. I like that a lot. What I don't like is autoplay, but that's for another time. Wait, what? Hello brothers, talk from Brazil. I since produced 2 years ago. Sorry for my terrible English. If that's true, if you have been producing for 2 years, then that's crazy. That you've been able to make such a quality track. I know it's a collaboration. I don't know if it's like all you. But for 2 years of production, that's very, very good. Because everything was on point, right? It was not just like, okay, there's a few things that you can clearly tell was made by somebody who has 2 years experience, and then he was carried by somebody who has 10 years of experience, right? This was clearly just professionally put together, the whole thing. So that's very, very cool. The only thing I will say is that it wouldn't hurt if your master limiter did a little bit less boosting, right? You're hitting the limiter at the point where it starts to become problematic. Laptop empty, great stream. We'll make sure to tune in again next time. Take care and have a good one. Thank you for stopping by, dude. There are natural born talents. I agree, and this is one of them. Next up, we have Cosmonome and oh wait, for the limiter. The limiter, it's not like it's a problem. You're at the edge of where it becomes a problem, right? If you had done like half a dB more of gain reduction, it would really start to become annoying how loud it would have been. But that means that even if you were to go down like half a dB or a dB or something like that, it would still be fine. I think specifically for high tech, the meta is to be a little bit more dynamic. You don't have to go up to that like -6 LUFS, -5, what some people do, or the -8 or whatever target they set. I think having a little bit more dynamic actually helps the music to be a little bit more punchy, I think. But it's not to the point where like it was before with that other track that we heard at the beginning of the stream, where it was really like this wall of sound that was just continuous and never stopped and was always loud or quiet, right? So it's still okay. It's not a decision that I don't agree with. I would say like aesthetically you could lower it a little bit if you wanted to. Next up, Cosmonome. This is called Absolum 123. Hello? Oh, there we are.
Who are you?
Absolute.
You're not absolute. I'm absolute. The question is, who are you?
Here again, the vocal can be. It can go up to like 20k, the frequencies. It's stopped at 10k. There's absolutely no need for the vocal to not have those higher frequencies and to stand out. Nice and clean. Love to see that. Good job. Here again, if you're gonna do a fill right there where you have 2 beats without a bass line, you can remove the kick in between. Here as well, if you're gonna do a fill, remove the bass line. Thanks for the feed, man. You're welcome. Vietnam Street Food, how are you doing? Welcome to the stream. That's what happens when you guys have names like that. I get confused. It's all your fault. one of the reasons why you have such a groovy track is because of how dynamic your bass line is, right? You can see the bass line, it starts at this volume and then it goes all the way down before it closes. A lot of people tend, including myself, tend to have a more flat out bass line. That's usually more aggressive, more sustained, but it doesn't have that dynamic grooviness to it. The second thing is this bass note is louder than this one, that also helps with the groove. The only thing I would say is, this is again a prime bass line that I would apply a stereo effect to. Something like M stereo spread, again I've shown it. You go M stereo spread, and then you make sure that you're not stereoizing the lower frequencies. You tune it, set the amount that you want, but you do want a little bit of that stereo feeling to the higher part of the bass line.
Yes, you ought. Unroll the red.
Is this Severus Snape? Is this a Harry Potter sample? Or is this the Alice in Wonderland track that you sent last time? Update from last time. Okay, yes.
You're not absolute, I'm absolute. The question is,
What do you mean by that? I ought to know why.
yes, you ought. Unroll the red.
I would say on this vocal, you could get away with reducing the mids on it and then increasing the highs a little bit, so you get more crispiness to the vocal. Especially on the male voice, it sounds very like mid-range heavy and like there's not a lot of information up here. The cool thing about doing that is that usually delays have a low pass filter on them, so the higher frequencies of your vocal actually don't get delayed and you don't get that kind of washed out feeling, and it's easier to understand them again.
Today is Ripley's Day in time of the Red Queen.
Look at this kick. This is the start of the kick, but this is the highest volume of it. So you lose a lot of the definition because there's just no high frequencies because this part is so low. I think there might be an attack on the patch that you're using to create it, or you're just low pass filtering it yourself, which I would advise against if that's the case. But you can hear that the transient has a little bit of a bloop, bloop, bloop. It's not really tack, 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 you know, the very aggressive kind of transient that we want. Especially in this very busy track, in terms of the amount of elements that you have, this is a very, very full track. Almost to the point where I say that it's too much. In those cases where you have such a full track, the kick transient obviously still is very important, and to make it stand out, you can give it more high end. Okay. How many tracks do I still have to go through? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, that's okay. Now we have Guzarish by Acid. I think we already heard this track last week, but there should be updates made to it. I'm tapping the rhythm. This is the rhythm that we were expecting coming from that vocal, and that's not being respected. It can work in the intro. I don't know if that vocal is going to come back in the drop, and then it will be a problem. If the rhythms don't match, right? The tempos, the BPM. When it's just singing like oh and oh, that's okay. Clean enough, nice and clean. This transient, this one. Now it's finished. I mean, at some point you just have to say, okay, that's it, I'm going to leave it as it is, and I'm just going to release it, right? You have to move on at some point. What I'm wondering here in these very loud parts, let's see if I can capture one. There. If I zoom in now, are we going to see any clipping on the kick? No. It is very loud. Can I zoom out again, please? Thank you. I didn't even know you could zoom in like that. But it's getting to the point where I would say it's, again, too loud. Just like that other one, that other track where you have. It's not at the point where it's problematic, where you're going to have continuous limiter distortion. But it is starting to get to the point where what happens when you push it too hard into the limiter is that sound, that your clarity is lost, right? Any muffle that is going to be in the track is going to be exaggerated. All of the problem, you can see it as the limiter for the first amount of dB that you put it up, you're only going to get benefit in the volume increase, in the loudness increase. And then when you push it up too much, here it's okay, this is perfect. But before, when there were a lot of elements playing, you get it to be like very muffled. Any kind of issue in separation that you might have is going to be exaggerated when you push it more and more into the limiter, because obviously things are going to be louder and they're going to be squashed, right? like this part. This is really good. It makes sense from a structure perspective. Your second drop being a progressive drop. Having its own unique elements in there, its own unique one-shots and stuff. One final criticism that I have is that 500 Hertz-ish area feels a little bit bloated. This area. You could take an EQ here on your master chain and just push it down like 1.5 dB. You don't want to affect too much like the lower and the higher frequencies. You don't want it to be very narrow in Q as well. Just kind of like a dip that goes down and then up again like that. On the master itself, either on the master or on the kick and bass channel. Because I notice it mostly happening from the kick and bass. Obviously that's going to be a very big contributor to that. But you can also do it on the master, yes. I like to think that the 500 Hertz area is kind of, if you cut it a little bit, usually on my bassline I cut it by default, that area, because it gives the bassline a bit more definition between the warm frequencies of 250 Hertz and its click frequencies at around 2K up. Right, the frequencies that are mainly contained in the transient of the bassline. Okay, nice. Next up we have at least one coffee. Let me wait, message request. Dystopian Grind working title first version. Trust SoundCloud links. Am I getting a virus?
Something's not right.
Why did Discord warn me for this particular SoundCloud link?
Ask me how I know. I just do.
I don't know.
I've been crying for a while now. And every time she shudders, it shakes me up. Not a lot, but just enough to keep me awake. I wonder where he is.
This is going to be some aggressive hardcore. I'm calling it right now. Yeah, I don't know what happened.
That's all
was a fake build-up. Keeping up with the hardstyle trends here. I hate fake builds. I hate them so much. Or fake drops, sorry. I can see the waveform, so I will know when the real drop hits, but still. You have such a big stereo field to work with and you choose to make the kick completely mono. Also your transient, it's messed up. You need to make sure that there's no filter happening after any kind of fade out that you have on here. Kick and bass cleaning also applies to hardstyle transport, that kind of stuff. You can hear that the transient doesn't have that kind of aggressive punch that you want. For any hard genre like this, the knock is very important. The kind of tuck, 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 tuck transient, and that's just missing here.
I've always believed the ultimate dystopia is the inside of your own head.
I think here in this case, what you can do to make your transient stand out more, apart from the cleaning for the kick and bass and that kind of stuff, and just making the transient stand out more in and of itself, is taking your chords and your leads and stuff, and not like sidechaining them per se, but you can use LFO tool to just carve out like your transient itself, right? And then on your chords and stuff, you go like this, so that this is the space where the transient is. This is the space where it ducks down before the transient, so we actually perceive the transient when it hits, and you can mix that in with the depth. It's actually a very good way to make transients or specific parts of a track stand out more, because now the chords are just kind of blasting the whole way through. And if you just duck them on the transient, that for that very short time frame, then obviously the transient has more space to actually come out, even if it's very, very short. My dog just tried to eat a fly. We used to have a dog that would go in the lavender bushes to eat the bees in there. And he would just constantly like jump in, eat them, get stung, go to the grass, turn around a little bit, and then he would try again. He was very dumb when it came to dog, like exceptionally. You guys don't eat flies? Wait, in Brazil they actually eat flies, right? Or at least like grasshoppers and stuff like that? Like fried? I know they do in like Vietnam and stuff like there. Do they in Brazil? I don't think I've ever had insects, at least not knowingly. I mean, obviously, every once in a while when you're like on your bike or somewhere where it's windy and you open your mouth, you sometimes eat a fly, but that's not intentional.
Something's not.
The last thing that I wanted to show you, Coffee, is if you want like a more aggressive sound to your leads, I'm sure you know this if you're like an actual producer, but the fine tune is your friend here. Because let's go like this, and then you can actually hear it. This is going to sound terrible, right? The normal one. Let me set up. That's terrible, but if you increase the speed here, you get that kind of aggressive sound that you often associate with hardstyle, and then you just detune it. You add your layer, do the same thing. Both on the macro. And then you drive that into your distortion. That's kind of your traditional lead. What I think you're doing is stuff without the fine tuning, which is just that kind of very soft saw sound with the distortion. I think with a little bit of that tuning, the fine tuning trick, you get a more kind of gnarly sound out of it. Wait. I think this is the octave, right? Do I know my music? Yeah. That would be the kind of sound that you're aiming for. I think that you're missing a little bit of like with the fine-tune trick kind of layer to it. That kind of aggressive, bitey lead is missing a little bit for me. I've dabbled in some hard genres, as you can tell. I'm sure we can make it to at least 35 likes with these 21 people. Let's try. I agree, we're at 27. What was the record? I think the record was like 41. Wait. Okay, next up we have Jointler, which is, I think, Moto Techno here, right? With his, yes, Moto Techno. Ping Pong Basskraft. Something German. So you know it's going to be good techno. Wait, are you still... I know people think that it's not important for techno to have like a clean, low end, because it's supposed to be rumbly. But I feel like you should... Yeah. You see here, the transient of your kick is being messed up by the rumble. What that means is that you should resample your kick once you have your rumble created, and then just fade it out right about here, so that the transient has maximum punch. The same was kind of true when that Reese bass was still playing. That Reese bass is messing up the transient of your kick because they're playing at the same time. It's Swiss German. Yeah, so not real German, and therefore not real techno. Just kidding. Sound design is really cool. So overall the sounds and stuff used. I recently watched a little, I don't even think if it was a long documentary, one of those mini docs about the birth of techno by black immigrants to Berlin. It was really cool. Yeah, you can hear that the whole track feels a little bit muffled, especially that transient, because it's being kind of pushed by the rumble from the kick before it. here aesthetically, personally, I think that the melody is too happy for, or maybe the sound, or maybe both. It's too happy for the track. This sounds like a very dark techno track to me, also because your rumble is, you know, very strong and very bass heavy. So the combination with happy elements doesn't really make sense to me. I would suspect some kind of low, growly FM kind of pluck every 4 beats on the offbeat, something like that. Hello Spectrum, how are you doing? It feels like you took some house elements and put them on top of a very aggressive techno kick, which aesthetically doesn't really match, for me. Again, all of these things are my opinion, and I only point out the things that I don't like about the track, because otherwise I would be constantly talking. I did that in GarageBand on my laptop. In that case, it's very impressive. I take back everything I said. Can you host VSTs in GarageBand? I do like this like darker pluck, but that very high pluck doesn't really work for me. More drunk I was, my German became better. That tends to happen with me also. When I get drunk and I speak Dutch with my parents, at some point I'll just become German. Anyway, I said I would again love to play remixes here, but as I told many times before, unfortunately with copyright I don't think I can play either of them, right? Because Mind Over Matter and Transstripe, aren't they both remixes then? It's not a remix. Ah, you remixed. You redid the mix. Aha. Okay, so this is Transstripe, 140 BPM, D minor. You just started mixing again. Okay. I understand. Usually in that case, you put a little like dash between re and mixed. But it is the right word. It just needed like the dash to make it like different from the other one. Different from the remix that we're used to. Yes, exactly. Remix. So here those bandpass plugs are completely mono. I like the kick and bass. Very good. Not clean here. This is okay and the kick is okay, but I think you may have resampled one entire beat. Also your alignment is questionable here. There's this spike. See if you can get that out of there. Here an aesthetic thing, you have a vocal that goes pam 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 pam. You could do the same with the bass line, so that you remove the last note of every bar, right? So that your bass line, your kick and bass is also doing pam 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 pam. So it follows the same rhythm. You get a combination between the two rhythms. Or the two rhythms, I should say, they kind of form like a global rhythm for the track because they are the same, because they line up. Unless the vocal starts playing on the offbeat, in which case it doesn't work. But if the vocal starts to play at the beginning of the beat, then that trick will work. Here with a riser like that, if you're going up, another cool trick that you can do is while you're going up, while it's increasing in like the brightness of it, it becomes more present. And if you want to mitigate kind of that effect, you can make it more stereo over time as well, so that it doesn't start to overpower. Also the bass line was completely mono while you're writing. Really nice stuff again. The only thing is a lot of music sounds similar. It's a fine line between expectations and surprise in music. I know how hard it is, but keep trying out new stuff. I agree. Well, to be honest, looking back, we've had a lot of different stuff today. From Forest, High Tech, some Dark Side. We now have this. We had some like not even psytrance, some dubstep. So no, I don't agree. No. Looking back, no. We have had a very wide range of music. As well, you can sterilize that vocal and just make it more interesting. I also think here that the 500 Hertz problem that I described before is the same thing. It might be something that happens to all of your tracks because of your monitoring system and stuff. Do you think so, Wave Morpher? Do you think you get do you get bored of music? I mean, I have added Deep Jungle Walk to my playlist, I think now 4 years ago, and I'm still listening to it like every other day because it's just such a good track. I cannot get enough of a track like that, to be honest. It's like Doc, I do really appreciate that you want my feedback. Unfortunately, YouTube systems will always find a way to screw me out of a copyright claim. Or to screw me into a copyright claim, I should say. I can, anytime you're using copyrighted material, I cannot play it on stream. That's just the rule. I can listen to it later if you want on the normal feedback, and you can post it there. No, I'll get back to you, Acid. I'll get back to the other one. I just quickly wanted to say, because I saw Doc again talking about his track. It's a cover, not a remix. That's the problem. The problem is that you're using somebody else's content for your track, and I won't play it. That's the rule. Even if at some point in the track it becomes like all yours or something like that, I cannot play it. I don't want to risk it. I have a YouTube channel that I've been working on for 3 years to build up, and with 3 strikes, it's gonna get deleted. So I'm just not risking it. I get enough trouble without actively featuring copyrighted stuff on my channel. I'm not going to put more trouble on myself. I'm getting in trouble for all of the Learn from the Master series that I'm doing. Right? Every time I do Learn from the Masters, even though I am fully in my right to make that kind of content with the music in it, that's 100% fair use, not even a question. It still gets claimed, it's still a mess, it's still a fight that I have to go through. It takes an hour to just dispute everything and stuff like that. I'm not going to do that. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. I hope you can understand, and for your next production, I hope that we can listen to something that is fully yours. You don't have to apologize. I have to apologize here because I want to offer you that service of listening to your track, but it's unfortunate.
We are truly multi-dimensional beings.
If you did the special stream on Twitch without saving the VOD, could do it. I'll get back to this track because this is a subject that is interesting. It's not just about like legal stuff. I could get around it, right? I could listen to your track and just play it at a very low volume, for example. If I didn't want to get claimed by the system, I just turn down the stream volume. You guys don't really hear it. I still give my feedback on the track, and then we're all fine. The problem with that is that I also have a little bit of a, I would say, moral aspect to it. These rules are definitely in place for some reason. Goodbye, coffee. See you. It's not that I don't want to give people's production. The fact of the matter is that when it comes to all of these remixes, they're probably not official, right? You didn't ask the original artist to remix their track. And to me, as an artist myself, I have a few like strict rules on who gets to remix my stuff and stuff like that. I don't want everybody to just take my stuff and run with it. I just believe in the idea that you should have control over what happens to your own intellectual property. Even if people say like copyright was written in the 70s by some white guys that tried to make as much money as possible, there's still a moral idea behind it which I agree with. And even if I were to like circumvent the law or even circumvent the YouTube system or the Twitch system or whatever system that I'm circumventing, at the end of the day, there is the moral idea of that I'm just using somebody else's material without their permission. And that's not something that I want to do. Yeah, next time you come here with an original track, I'll happily play it. I just won't play dubious copyrighted material because I don't know exactly. Again, even if I got the license, which I would want to do, if I was able to just take if you were able to show me a license and I was able to take that license and go to YouTube and say like, I have the license to play this, then it would be fine. Then I would be, because then everybody has permission, right? But that, I cannot do that, unfortunately. And we just live in a world where, unfortunately, people have to make money off their art. You cannot make art for free. So people get to decide what happens to their art, where it gets played and where not. Yes, even if YouTube doesn't strike you, it's not about just the strike, right? The strike is a big problem for me because that is something that I actively have to work against. But there's also the moral idea of somebody taking a work that is not theirs, making something new out of it, or using it for their own work without the explicit permission of the original artist. My dad explained it very, very well sometime. He said, like, imagine that you live with a roommate. And every time you go out, your roommate takes his girlfriend and has sex with your girlfriend on your bed. You wouldn't like that. Even if it doesn't really hurt you, right, because you're not even there, you wouldn't like somebody else having sex on your bed. That's just not something that you would enjoy, the idea of that happening. And therefore, if he wanted to do that, he would need to ask you for permission first. If you then give him permission, it's a different story. But if he just did that, right, it's something that you... Yeah, it's something that you have to consent to. And it's the same with making art and reusing somebody else's art. There are edge cases, again, fair use. For example, the way that I see my learning from the Master series is that I take their art and turn it into art that is so different that it's not competing for the same market. With the track that Ulis sent here, or Doc sent here, you are competing in the same market. You are basically making a very similar piece of art. Am I still getting music to listen to? I have one more track to listen to. And after that, I will probably take a quick break. Or just end the stream altogether. Because it has been like 3 hours. Anyway, I mean, I use samples, presets, but I don't get stuff from another music. Yeah, but when you get samples and presets, you also get a license that says that those things are royalty free. Usually. Like 95% of the cases. And that you can use it for commercial purposes.
We are truly multi-dimensional beings.
Consciousness. The secret powers of our minds, collective consciousness.
I'd say the same 500 Hertz issue. I think that that's an issue across the board for you. Maybe it's your like monitoring setup or something like that. Cleanliness is not good here on your base. That's messy trends and stuff right there.
Mind over matter.
Here the vocal again, it should sit a little bit more on top of the mix.
Beyond the physical universe.
Here again, since you're going into a progressive second drop, you can make the whole stereo wave of that drop a little bit wider again to make it more interesting and to differentiate with your first and third drop. I do, yeah. I think you're right, Wave Morpher. In that, at the end of the day, music is always inspiration, which is essentially stealing from others. But there is like a limit to it, right? If you're sampling one vocal, maybe like a vocal like this, nobody's going to care in the vibe of the whole music. But if you're making a remix, you take the fundamental idea of one song and turn that into a next song.
Reprogramming our belief systems. Human intention can significantly influence properties of materials and the nature of reality.
I like this vocal. That's a good sitting vocal. If you want to reference your vocal, that's a vocal that sits on top of the mix. And now all AI art is based on remixing human patterns. Yeah, that's another debate. Like the copyright debate around AI art. From a copyright perspective, they just essentially infringed on everybody's copyright because they took a sample set, which is basically the whole internet, and just started generating off of that. Fortunately, AI is not yet at the point where it can do like music the way that we do. You know, where it can just spit out a track. But if it did become like that, I could definitely see that that would be a problem, and I can see why it's a problem now for visual artists, people that just make like image art, right? Digital images. Why does the heads get low pass there? I don't understand that decision. Can I sample Joe Rogan Experience and submit that track here? In those cases, so my philosophy when it comes to that stuff is when you're using the Joe Rogan Experience, you are taking something that is a podcast and transforming it into a piece of music. When you submit a remix, you take a piece of music and transform that into another piece of music. Music which competes directly with the other music. Right? Which question? I've asked many questions, I don't remember. I have the memory of a goldfish, so I don't remember. Also, my chat is like lagging. It's behind because of the like delay. The last. Again, I don't remember. About the hi-hats, about the low pass filter, about the transition. Oh yeah, so you were low passing your hi-hats going down, Dory memory. Yes, exactly. Yeah, no, my short-term memory isn't very good sometimes. Especially if I've been talking for 3 hours and 20 minutes straight in a room which is a little bit too hot, and while actively trying to listen to music and stuff like that. Anyway, maybe it's also the weed. Yes, that does indeed not tend to help with memory. I've heard, yes, right? It's 28. It's much higher here. It's cooling off now because it's turning night. But I think today, this afternoon, it was like 34-ish here. And I don't have air conditioning in this apartment, so it's actually terrible for me. Okay. I was gonna do a break, but I think I'm going to end the stream here today. We don't have any new submissions. So that means that it's a good time to finish here. I hope you guys enjoyed the feedback stream. I hope you guys enjoyed everything that I had to say. Do I have anything that I need to announce? Let me think. Again, memory. No, I don't have anything. There is more new videos coming out. I actually recorded 5 videos yesterday, and tomorrow I'll be recording like 12 shorts again and another video. So I have a lot of content coming out very, very soon. But I'm trying to pre-record a little bit more so that I can take a week off in the middle of August and just be at my parents' while the uploads kind of still continue. So that does mean that some of the videos are going to be a little bit shorter, maybe a little bit less quality than you're expecting of me. But I just want to make some filler content so that I can take that week off without, you know, having to think about, oh, it's going to impact my channel, everything is going to die, all of the momentum that I'm building up is going to go away. I don't want that to happen, so the channel is going to continue. I just need to make some videos for you guys to watch. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream, and we see each other next week sometime if I have time to stream. If not, then next Sunday. Bye guys!